That night, Howie had terrible dreams. Over and over, Pete appeared out of nowhere, his hands outstretched, hissing, "I'm going to get you, Squealer. You're dead meat." Waking up in a sweat, Howie vowed not to tell anyone that he had found out, not even Chester. The next morning, he told Delilah, "You have to promise not to tell anyone what I'm about to tell you," he said. "Okay," she replied. "But does it have anything to do with, oh, you know." "No," said Howie, "I do not know." "With, oh, it's too horrible to say. I can't. But I must. I can't live tormented by my fears. With, with d- dust bunnies." Howie, being a deep-thinking and perceptive dachshund puppy, concluded that the subject of dust bunnies was an upsetting one to Delilah, especially seeing as how she had just fainted. "There, there," Howie said as he revived Delilah. He had never noticed before that she had eyelashes. What lovely eyelashes they were. "You'll be all right. I'll never let those bunnies harm you." "Oh, Howie," Delilah said, batting the eyelashes he had not known until a moment before even existed. "You were so manly, yet sensitive." He was almost ashamed to tell her his dream. But he needn't have feared. In Delilah's eyes, he could do no wrong. "You have to stop him," Delilah said. "You can't let him do whatever you said he was going to do." "Dominate the world?" "Yeah, that. And I'm going to help you." "No, Delilah, it isn't safe." "But I can't let you go alone. I'd never forgive myself if something happened to you." Howie looked into Delilah's eyes. He saw himself reflected there. He was a cute puppy. He could understand why Delilah felt the way she did. "Well, okay," he told her. So that night, Howie and Delilah returned to Pete's room. They hid under the bed and waited. Howie had gone back under the bed earlier in the day and cleaned out all the dust bunnies with his tail. He also found 2 Oreo cookies, one of which he ate then and there, and the other of which he waited to share with Delilah. She liked the feeling. He liked the cookie. They were meant for each other. "What are we waiting for?" Delilah asked after they had finished eating the Oreo. The intelligent and smart, not to mention wise, dachshund puppy gave Delilah's question serious consideration. "I'm not sure," he told her at last. "But we'll know when we find out." Howie could feel the breeze coming off Delilah's fluttering eyelashes. "You are so intelligent and smart," she told him. She did not mention wise. As it turned out, they did not have long to wait. They scurried farther back under the bed as they heard Pete enter, close the door, and sit down at his desk. Soon the room was filled with the gurgles and stench of science gone mad. "That's it!" they heard Pete cry. "I have the answer at last." "I didn't hear the question," Delilah whispered in Howie's ear. "That tickles," replied Howie, whose every sense was as finely tuned as a concert piano. "Yes!" Pete exclaimed to no one, or so he had thought. "No more homework. No more having to clear the table. With this potion I will be more powerful than anyone on the face of the earth. Even Miss Kipper. Ha ha! Ha ha!"
We're at sea, and I'm a god at sea. Ha ha! Ha 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 ha!
Later, after Pete had gone to sleep and Howie had explained to Delilah that Miss Kipper was Pete's school principal, the 2 dogs crept out from under the bed. "We must find that potion and destroy it," Howie told Delilah. "But look," Delilah said. "One of the test tubes was missing. Where could it be?" Delilah gasped. "There!" she cried. "Where?" said Howie. "There!" she cried. Again. "Oh no," said Howie, the strong and determined, yet capable of being surprised dachshund puppy. "How will we get the potion now?" There, clutched in Pete's sleeping hands, was the vial, filled with purple ooze. Howie said, "We're doomed." Delilah said, "Being doomed makes me hungry." "Me too," said Howie. They went downstairs and had something to eat. "Uncle Harold said that this is strong writing. He liked the part about the vial, and said that every sense was as finely tuned as a concert piano was an excellent simile, whatever that is. But he said the last chapter ending fell flat. He said I should try using cliffhanger." which is when you leave the reader wondering what's going to happen next. I told him, but the reader doesn't know what Delilah and Howie had to eat. He said that for him that was a cliffhanger, but he guessed that the average reader might be looking for something a little more mysterious than what's in the food bowl. I'll try again. Delilah gasped. There, she cried. Where? Said Howie. There, she cried. Again. Oh no, said Howie, the strong and determined, yet capable of being surprised dachshund puppy. How will we get the potion now? There, clutched in Pete's sleeping hands, was the vial, filled with purple ooze. Howie said, We're doomed. Delilah said, Being doomed makes me hungry. We can't think of our stomachs at a time like this, said Howie. We've got to save the world. Okay, said Delilah, but then can we get something to eat? Okay, said Howie. He raised himself on his hind paws and peered at the sleeping boy. Inching his finely shaped head forward, he opened his professionally trained jaws, ready to secure the test tube in their grasp. Soon the world would be safe from harm and he and Delilah could go downstairs and get something to eat. Then, disaster struck. Cliffhangers are awesome. Uncle Harold asked, What's the disaster? I said, You'll have to read the next chapter to find out. He said, Well, let me read it. I said, I have to write it first. Writing is awesome.